Hi everyone, second to the last example on 8-2, which is the ugliest section of ever anything that we're doing this year, okay? So anyways, example 2 on lesson 8-2, which is solving systems by substitution. And it's a solve the system by substitution. So when I look at the system and it's by substitution, then that means that I got to solve for one of the variables. When I look at it, the thing that stands out to me is that the x here is almost by itself. So I got to leave one of the variables by itself. So if I want to leave the x by itself, all I have to do is add 4y to both sides, and then I'll get the x alone. And then it's called substitution because once I get that x alone, I substitute it into the other equation and get the other value, and then I solve. Okay, and once again, the idea when you're solving systems of equations is that you want to get the value of the x and the y that make this equation true. You can always guess and check until you find them, or you can use these strategies that we're doing. So once again, this equation, the thing that stands out is the x by itself already. So I want to get rid of this minus 4. The inverse of subtracting 4y to both sides is I got to add 4y to both sides. I do it to one, and then I do it to the other side. Okay, so now right here I put a long line because I am adding something to both sides. Okay, so I didn't do anything with the x, so I just put the x again. So here I have negative 4y and positive 4y. That cancels out. So then on the other side I'm going to have 4 plus 4y. So I put 4 plus 4y. Okay, now once again the first step is solve for one of the variables. Now once I have a variable by itself, I substitute it into the other equation. So right here, instead of putting x, I'm going to put in 4 plus 4y. So substitution again. So right here we have 2 times, instead of x, once again I'm going to replace it because x is equal to 4 plus 4y. So right here I put 4 plus 4y, close parentheses. So this was 4 times x, which was, 2 times x. So 2 times the value of x, which is 4 plus 4y. And then there's a minus. So I put next minus 3y. 3y equals, there's an equal sign, and negative 3. So negative 3 right there. Okay, so now I got to simplify that equation. The thing that stands out is those parentheses. So what do the parentheses mean? It's multiplication. So I multiply 2 times 4, which is 8. And then there's a plus sign. So I put a plus 2 times 4y. That's 8. Oops, I'll put a space. 8y. And then there's a minus 3y. So minus 3y. And then there's an equal sign, and then there's a negative 3. So something that pops out at me is that, oh my gosh, I have 2 y terms. So I got to simplify that, combine like terms. This is a positive ay. This is a negative 3y. So a positive ay and a negative 3y makes 5y's. So the first 8 stays by itself. And I'm just going to have plus 5y equals negative 3. Okay? Now I look at my y. The y is being multiplied by 5 and then added by 8. So the inverse of adding 8 is subtracting 8. So I subtract 8. Whatever I do to one side, I got to do to the other side. And then remember, I put a long line right here because I am subtracting. So here, the 8 minus 8 is 0. So the only thing that's going to be left is 5y equals, here I have negative 3 and negative 8. That gives me negative 11. Oh, and then I got to get the y alone. So this is the y is being multiplied by 5. So I got to divide by 5. So whatever I do to one side, I got to do to the other side. So I'm dividing both sides by 5. And remember, division requires a fraction bar in there. So 5 divided by 5 is 1 times y is y. So now I'm just going to have y is equal to negative 11 fifths. So I just leave it as a fraction, negative 11 fifths. Now I got to find out what x is. So I go back to my other equation where x was equal to 4 plus 3y, I'm sorry, 4 plus 4y. So now I got to substitute the value of y right there. So right here, I'm going to go back to that one, and I'm going to have x equals 4 plus 4 times whatever the y is. The y was negative 11 fifths. Okay, this is ugly. It's a fraction. Take a deep breath and we'll be fine. And you can use your calculator too, the scientific calculator. You can just substitute all of this in your calculator and it'll give you the exact answer. But I'll just do it. So I have the 4. The thing that stands out is the multiplication right here. So I got to multiply that. So a positive times a negative is a negative. So I put minus, and then 4 times 40 times 11 is 44. And then the fifths stay like that. So 11, so I got to find the common denominator. This 4, if I want to put it in fifths, 4 times 5 is 20. So then that means that this I can put 20 fifths, right? 20 divided by 5 is 4, and I don't have fifths. 20 fifths minus 44 fifths, that gives me a negative, what's 20 minus 44? 44 minus 20 is 24. So 24 fifths, oops, I didn't put the equal sign. Okay, and these are negative because I'm subtracting a big number from a little number. So now I have my solution. Okay, so the solution is, and remember that when you put the order pair, x always goes first. So negative 24 fifths and negative 11 fifths. Okay, and you can check it with the calculator. Just substitute the values in there and substitute and see if this gives you 4, and then just substitute it in there and see if that gives you negative 3. Okay, thank you so much for listening.